All right, so here's the thing. This is the video that me and Lisa watched tonight that really kind of blew this thing open for me. While we were watching it, I had my phone out and we were actively pausing it and vetting these things. And this is when it just kept getting weirder and weirder and weirder. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and start it. It should sound okay. I've got the mute for me, so I can't hear the stream. But if there's anything wrong, just tell me I suck more, I suppose. All right, but
Case of rebrand,
let's go ahead and get started. The first one they're going to mention is obviously Mandela because that's where this whole thing got
and
started
it's
from. I
people
personally
remember
do not
Nelson Mandela
remember
dying in the
anything
80s
about
in
him
prison. He
dying, and
actually
my
died in
mom didn't either,
2013.
but there's apparently a great deal of people that
The
do.
village people have an extra member now.
This one, I looked this one up. The village people thing. He was there. The village people had a sixth member, 100%. And sometimes he was dressed as a army soldier, or sometimes he was dressed as a sailor and stuff like that. He may have gotten dropped, over time and whatnot. But definitely, um, when that guy did that talent show, he didn't include. Let's see, he didn't include the last guy. Now, an argument can be made that he was making a costume, so having an extra guy on the front and back could have potentially been an issue, but he omitted this thing, so it's not in there. Next.
A military guy in the movie.
Okay, I obviously talked about this one a little bit today about the gun that's clearly there, um, and the scarecrow had it. Some of you guys said that you remembered it. I do not remember it. And here's an anecdotal story about this. Okay, check this out. When E.T. came out, I saw it in the theater. Okay, and it would have been about the same age that I was being impressioned all these different movies that were out at the time. So I'd seen E.T. in the theater, and then maybe 3 or 4 years later I saw it because it was out on VHS. But you guys my age remember, the movies, you couldn't just go buy a movie on VHS back then. They were really expensive, hard to find, et cetera, et cetera. So that didn't happen very often. So I didn't see ET very much. But the Wizard of Oz was made in the 30s, so it was, available as syndication my entire childhood. So I've seen this movie a ton of times. Never did I notice the Scarecrow with a gun. And I remember seeing the guns in ET. There was two cops with revolvers, and then later on there was like a rifle or something. Look, it's right there. He's got a gun. Why would you be afraid of anything flying monkey sized if you have a 38 revolver? I mean, unless there was like seven of them. But it's there. He's got a revolver. It doesn't make sense. I do not remember that 100%. It changes everything. And I was talking to Kurt today, and he's been watching this show, Emerald City or something like that. And it's apparently based on like the Wizard of Oz world. And apparently, in one of the episodes, the girl who's apparently jumping between dimensions or in and out of Oz, she gets a pistol off of a cop, probably Glock, and she takes it back into Oz, and it's a huge deal in Oz because there's never been a gun there. But there's a gun right there. Okay, so that's kind of playing into the thing that the media can be changed, okay? The media in the past can be changed by the Mandela effect, but our memories are not. Our
The
memories
Wizard of
stay
Oz,
the
the
way they
Scarecrow,
are.
now has a pistol. The famous quote from Snow White.
Okay, like go look it up. Like that the queen says to the mirror after a short little rabble rousing, she says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" Right? That's what she says. Backed supported by the fact that a book that was published the time that Snow White came out by the Disney Corporation included this scene in it, and in text it says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" But it has been changed to Magic Mirror. And we can go all the way back to the original Brothers Grimm tale on this, because the original Brothers Grimm tale said mirror, mirror on the wall, not magic mirror. And more anecdotally, all of the like popular media and all of the stuff that got created after this, they also say mirror, mirror on the wall. So here's what's happening. The Mandela effect will change something in the past, but our memories don't change. Therefore, the art that gets created as a result of that media stays the way we remember it, but it doesn't match. And this is going to be further exacerbated later by a statue that's changed. But yeah, it's totally changed. Like, I mean, we can go look it up, but like, trust me, it says magic mirror on the wall, and that's totally different than what everybody remembers.
Mirror, mirror on the wall is now magic mirror on the wall.
Okay, this one's gonna get kind of personal on me. They're saying that this eye structure is now different. Okay, they're saying that we have a new set of bones that have grown up, that have developed behind our eyes, and I mean, you would think the medical technicians would acknowledge that, but if it is something that happened, I mean, I'm just arguing on the side of these, and I'm reading the comments. So if anybody like wants to debate a specific one of these that we covered, I'm totally game because I'm just discovering this shit all tonight. But all right, so anybody that really knows me knows about a year or two ago, I started getting a feeling behind my eye like there was a tumor or something growing back there. I didn't have health insurance at the time, so I literally paid out of pocket $700 to go have an MRI done to see if something was going on in there because I could feel something. I could slowly drop my vision. I could feel the cords on the back of my eye popping over something that wasn't there, and it was really concerning. You know, I really like my brain, and I don't want stuff growing in there, okay? So like I was really concerned about it, and I went and had an MRI done. They didn't find anything, and now we're finding out about this. And this was the disturbing thing. Me and Lisa had a really long conversation about this, you know, getting really in depth about it, you know, trying not to sound crazy. But this would be the oldest change that was affected by the Mandela effect to date that we know of. There's other examples like the Thinker and Mona Lisa, but this one reaches like way back. So, all right, well, on the next one.
The back of the eye sockets never had bone, now it does. Tony the Tiger.
Look at that. Does that look right? That doesn't look right to me. This is the one that kind of caught us off guard too. Tony always had a black nose. Um, and maybe this one's flipping the other way where because the media got changed, ultimately our memories got changed too. Um, because they're all done with a blue nose, but it just looks so out of place to me personally. It doesn't, I don't know. That's not the way it normally seems like it looks to me. I thought it had a black nose, and if we do this, if we go to fan art, and I have safe search turned off, so good luck everybody. There are some in here that have a black nose. But definitely, I mean, they're all blue. That just seems really out of place to me personally. I mean, somebody else can chime in. That was a cash discount price, Franklin. Yeah, he hooked me up because he realized I was trying
Now
to get
has a
something like
blue
that done.
nose instead of black.
All right, what's
JC
next?
Penney is now JC.
Uh, this one, like, it could go either way. I didn't ever pay enough attention to J.C. Penney anyways to notice. Both Lisa and my mom both said that it was always EY, so
Penny with an extra
I
E.
can't support that one.
Hitler's eye color changed from
Now, see, there's a problem with this one. They're saying his eyes are now blue and that they used to be brown. My problem with that is that most images people are going to have of Hitler were going to be taken in the early 40s, which means they're going to be in black and white. Only like still photography, I think, at that time was really capable of color. So I think that just because we're colorizing images, there's not
brown to
enough
blue.
evidence there to suggest that it's an effect.
Sally feels
This one's pretty big. Look at that. Okay, you've all heard this thing before where Sally Fields came out and she's like, "You like me, you really like me." I mean, there's literally hundreds of examples of that in modern media that are out there that exactly show that she said it like that. And the anecdote of what it actually means. He's not going to play it here, but okay, so the one we remember is the "you like me, you really like me." And that creates one sort of sentiment, a sentiment of acceptance, okay? Like, you know, I didn't know if I fit in, but you guys really do like me. Okay. Now, what they're saying that it's been changed to, and if you go watch the video of it, it is what she said. She says, "You like me right now. You like me." And to almost imply, like, hey, I've done something you people like, but in a week from now, you're going to be back to hating me. So what does it really matter? So that was my kind of take on this. And it creates two different sentiments. And there's other scenarios later on in this video that do the same thing that create different sentiments. So this one's kind of deep,
famous
and you know you've heard it the other way. You like me, you really like me. So what is up with this?
Oscar acceptance speech line. You like me, you really like me, has been changed to you like me, right now, you like me.
Grand Slam.
Chuck E. Cheese is not Chuck E. Cheese's.
See, here's the problem. Me with this, I'm not even sure. It could be either way, because they were constantly flipping between Chuck E. Cheese's and what was the other one? It was Chuck E. Cheese and somebody. I can't remember the other one, but there was like it was Chuck E. Cheese, and then every 8 years it would flip to the other one.
Desi
So
Arnaz
it
is
was
now
already messed
Desi
up enough.
Arnaz.
I'm also gonna say it called bullshit on this one. Snow White Blue. It won't load. And I've never heard of that. I don't think you can blame that on the Mandela effect. This one, the Desi Arnaz, I think that's just the way it was. I think his actual name was Arnaz, and I mean, he changed it for for Hollywoods. But there's another Ricky and Lucy one that's pretty good.
Procter
One thing I want to point out, like, we for years now we've had the videos and different topics where they would be like, "Hey, remember that quote from that movie that, you know, you got wrong? Here's the right quote." Like they've done that for a ton of stuff. I actually looked tonight. You know, those videos really started around 2009, and the articles on it, like, "Hey, you're quoting this movie wrong." Those videos really started around 2009. I think we got the quotes right. Like, what's the odds we all remembered this stuff wrong?
and Gamble
Procter and Gamble, I remember this too. I remember it being OR, but now
is
I mean
not
it's
Procter
ER.
and Gamble. The opening
Okay, this one was creepy as shit. I almost lost my shit tonight when this happened. So we saw this, and I'm like, it's the, it's the. So I'm gonna reproduce what I've done, what I did. I haven't done it on this computer yet. Um, oh, no. And okay, so here's the deal. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Okay, when I did this earlier, me and Lisa were on, and she saw it. She saw it happen. When we did this earlier, uh, on my phone, it said it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood until I clicked the link, and then it changed to this neighborhood. So this is the intro to Mr. Rogers. So I'm gonna skip up to where he actually starts singing. This is gonna fuck you up. If you didn't know this before, hold on. You're about to become an observer. Once you see this, it'll be this way for you forever. So if you got like some serious attachments to Mr. Rogers and the song, do not listen to this because once you hear it this way, that's the way it's gonna be.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Does that sound right to you guys? Does that sound right? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day in this neighborhood. No, man, it's the. It's a prepositionary thing. Like my mom was saying that the neighborhood was supposed to be all encompassing. It was supposed to be your neighborhood. It was supposed to be my neighborhood. It wasn't this neighborhood. This neighborhood implies his neighborhood, and his neighborhood is a set. So I don't know. The that one really got me. And like I said, when we saw when I searched it, because all I searched was "it's a beautiful day," and it auto populated the rest. And one of the option was "day in the neighborhood." So when I clicked it, the link to YouTube said "the" until I clicked it, and Lisa saw it too. And when I clicked it, then it changed to this neighborhood. So these may be recent
song for Mr.
Mandela
Rogers'
effect
neighborhood
stuffs.
has changed from It's a Beautiful Day in
So
the
ruined your
neighborhood
childhood.
to It's a Beautiful Day in this neighborhood. An interview with
We talked about this one earlier. Interview with a vampire versus interview with the vampire. Um, I did a little more research into this one too. The author that wrote the book, uh, it's interview with a vampire, and this is the only thing that got changed. our our group mentality on what it was called didn't change, just the actual media itself changed to where now it's the vampire. And I never remembered it like this because I actually thought, when it was I thought it was weird the way it was named back when I was a kid, Interview with a Vampire, and so that kind of sticks out to me that that's the way that it was named. It was Interview with the
The
Vampire.
Vampire has now been changed to An Interview with
It's
the
messed up.
Vampire. People remember
Okay, the deal about Mona Lisa was is that her smile was super super subtle. Okay, her beauty was is that she could smile with her whole face and not with her mouth. It was all about how minute the cracks were upward on the end of her face. And look at her now; she's like smirking. And if you don't if you're having trouble identifying that when you do like that, what happens is you bring up your lip a little bit, like she's got right there, and then you end up with a little bit of a fold right here. She kind of got that too. So this is it's either the oldest or the second oldest piece of art that has fallen subject to the Mandela effect, and this is where it starts to stop being inconsequential prepositions because now it's actually changing the
the
art.
Mona Lisa being
But
emotionless.
it
Now she has a
definitely, I mean,
smirk.
it's not hard to see the smile before now.
Home Depot is now the Home Depot.
What? He disclosed at the beginning of this video, and I didn't cover it. He said that he went through all these, and any time it was a business, he verified that there wasn't any sort of rebranding or anything changed, and so this would fall subject to that. And apparently now it's the Home Depot.
The Berenstein Bears are now the
I mean, this is probably literally this effect right here is the one people reference whenever they're talking about this: the Berenstein versus the Berenstain, the E versus the A, and I mean, I called it the Berenstain Bears, but it's always been that, and to the extent that the husband and wife team that wrote these books, that's their last name. So I find it hard to believe they screwed it up. What's interesting is TV guides from like the late 80s and stuff. They are in different documentation that show the work. They said Berenstein with an E, like even those said it with an E, and that's because a human being was typing those into something else, not the original media. So it's a case of like it was with a couple of these other effects that you change the media, but you don't change the memories. And if that's the case, it could actually an argument can be made that memories aren't tangible things. Memories aren't real. I can't cut your brain open and find that time we hung out that one time as a solid piece. The memories are neurons in your brain um, that fire off and create those chemical reactions that result in a memory. So it would be very difficult, and you'd have to do it case by case to change a memory, and that may be the like grounds for this Mandela effect.
Berenstein Bears.
You can move the bodies, but you
The
can't move the
Staples logo
graves.
now has
I was just there. I don't remember that. And now it's all funny spaced and stuff. And I can't verify that's what it looks like now. Glad I'm covering that up so you guys can't see how bad my typing is. Yep, that's the way it is now. I don't know. Let's see if I can find the sign. Find a big 16-foot sign or something. That just looks wrong. Looks so wrong.
a staple instead of an L.
One of the funny comments I saw, someone said, because of this Mandela effect, I've been going around taking pictures of all my favorite TV shows and products.
People remember Gene Wilder died in 2013.
No,
He
Gene
actually
died
died
last
in
year.
2016. The famous quote from I Love Lucy
I mean, that didn't happen. I mean, that's a part of like pop culture and the vernacular. I watched a video earlier where there was like literally 30 examples of of Lucy, you got some splaining to do. But apparently it never happened, and that's my point. We've been hit up a lot recently with these, oh, that's not the quote. That's not the quote. You guys are remembering the quote wrong. But it's really only been over the last couple years that's really started to happen. And the first thing I can remember it happening with was the Hello Clarice from Silence of the Lambs. There was it turns out he never said hello Clarice in the movie, despite the fact like we use that. Yeah, right. This experience is going. Sorry, I got this closed off. Uh, it changed. It changed in the editing room, and again, it's just an inconsequential scene that got removed. The big concern that I was having earlier is that if this stuff's being changed, the stuff that we all know about, how many things day to day are getting changed if this is true that we're not even
See,
noticing. We
Lucy,
don't even
you
see it
got some
happen because
explaining to do.
you know two people remember a conversation a little bit differently. They don't have a pool of a million people that were tuned in that afternoon for their conversation to vet whether or not that's what they said.
Was never said. Oreo's double stuff is now spelled with a single F.
I don't know. I thought it was stuffed. Stuft. Is that even a word? Is stuffed a word? I don't think it is.
Seth MacFarlane is now Seth MacFarlane. One of the
Sure.
famous quotes from The Wizard of
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so another one of those, and again, this is the second time this particular piece of media has been messed with. The "Fly, My Pretties Fly," like that's a known thing. It's always been stuff. Yeah, I didn't know for sure. But "Fly, My Pretties Fly," like we use that. That's a line, and it's apparently not in the movie anymore. So that's two instances right there of the Wizard of Oz being
Oz,
messed with.
Fly My Pretties Fly, is now just Fly, Fly, Fly. During the assassination of President John F.
There was this really twisted game that I used to play. I don't know if it's still out there, but it's called JFK Reloaded. And basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to reproduce the exact gunshot or series of gunshots on him. And I played it a ton of times. And I don't know, it couldn't have been four because it was always the president, the governor, their wives, and a driver. So the least it could have ever been was five, but it may have been five. But I don't remember it being six.
Kennedy, people remember only 4 people in the car. Now there is 6. Cheez-Its is now Cheez-It.
Maybe.
Oscar Mayer is now spelled M-A.
That looks weird. That looks really weird. Because wouldn't that be Oscar Mayer? Not Oscar Mayer? And wouldn't that mean they would have had to change the song? They would have had to change it to "I wish I had a Oscar Mayer wiener." So that one's definitely questionable. It's got to be Meyer, as Steve Myers joins in. What's up, Stevie? Yeah, that one is definitely questionable. In another case of you can change the original media, but you can't change the memories, and the memories that people have of the songs. That's entrenched in people's brains. So as a result, you can't change that. You can't alter that. You can't affect it in any manner according to the Mandela effect and what evidence we're seeing. So I wish I had an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Instead of
I don't
M-E.
buy that.
C-3PO is
Freaks. Freak up nerds. So, like, we were having a discussion about this. Apparently, in the original movie, C3PO's leg was silver. And some of the action figures had it and some of them didn't. This was the image that I shared with you guys on Facebook earlier. And then there's images like this. I guess this is from the new one because he's got the red arm. Not there. And they talked to the actor. He got a talked to somebody was interviewing him at the opening for the first new JJ uh, movie, and he said that the leg has always been silver. And the thing is like the action figures from back in the day, you know, the really crappy looking ones. Um, they were painted in like a really non-metallic reflective paint, so he basically looked brown and silver. But yeah, I mean his leg is silver. That's just so odd to include with something like that, you know. But it's also not the only Star Wars one. It's definitely
It's
not
in
the
all gold
most
now. He has a silver
prolific
leg.
one. That prolific one as well.
The
The Luke
Volkswagen
thing.
emblem is
Anybody else? Look at that. A line in it? I don't remember a line in it. It's always looked like this. I mean, we knew it was a VW. Let me see if see what the web's got. There's a phenomenon with this Mandela effect that it's called residual evidence. And sometimes there is residual evidence that's not exclusively related to somebody's memory. So there has been some, like the cup of noodles. Somebody found a really old um, version of the cup of noodles back when it actually said cup of noodles. But it was in some sort of like print media. It was like a newspaper or something.
now
But I don't
split.
remember it like that.
The Volvo emblem is now a male symbol.
Maybe.
The Ford emblem now has a little loop.
Okay. How about that one? I'll wait. The Ford logo now has a pigtail on it. Was it always like that? I don't remember it being like that. I mean, I don't know if I had a Maverick at one time, but I don't know. The Ford guys would be the ones. Some Ford guy would be the one to be able to say on that. Yeah, maybe Bill Nye's an effect of the Mandela
In
effect.
the F.
That show. He needs to
Fruit
be on
Loops is
something
now
for that.
spelled with a
Look at that. This was made by a Reddit user to try to replicate what people seem to remember was there. And in addition to that, there was some places like commissary notes where it was listed as fruit UI. That definitely, I thought that was something new they did. Honestly, I'll be 100%. When I started seeing this, because I eat Fruit Loops, what you gonna do? I thought it was just something new they were doing because it looked cool, because it does look cool, and it makes sense. But I didn't think it was always like that, and apparently it's always been like that.
double O
So
in the word
weird.
fruit. Skechers is now spelled without a T.
I've had a pair of them. Couldn't tell you.
People remember Shasha Gabor dying multiple times. The famous quote from Silence of the
We
Lambs,
talked about
"Hello,
that.
Clarice."
Never happened. Like he never says it in the movie, but it was clearly a part of our vernacular. I'm sure if you went back and looked at like late night talk show or SNL during the time when Silence of the Lambs came out, I'm sure they were using it. It may be a case where they might have used it in the trailer and it didn't make it to the movie, but people are saying it was never on anything. So,
Is now missing.
the fuck?
Cup of noodles.
Cup of noodles, we talked about that. Who else remembers them as cup o noodles? They were definitely cup o noodles. There's like no question about it. Like I remember them being cup o noodles.
Is now cup noodles. Whiteout is now.
This is the one that got Lisa to go, no, no, it was whiteout. I really don't know. It almost makes more sense from a marketing standpoint for it to be white out as opposed to like right out. So
Whiteout
I
without an
can't
H.
say.
The Fruit of the Loom logo no longer has a cornucopia.
Maybe.
People remember Katy Perry as Kate Perry.
It's always been Katy Perry. It's always been Katy Perry.
Johnny Walker whiskey is now spelled with an IE instead of a Y.
Couldn't tell you.
People remember Gaddafi dying multiple times.
I remember how he died.
Sally Field's last name no longer has an S.
Franklin. See that? See, you got sucked in. It used to be Sally Fields. 100%. Because I used to mess it up with something else. It was like Sarah Fields or something like that, but it used to have an S on it. It doesn't have an S anymore.
Johnny Quest is now spelled without an
There's
H.
actually another connection to her too. Sally Fields' brother works at CERN. and I'm starting to have legitimate concerns about CERN. Like, this could have something to do with CERN if it's happening. I don't know that
Folgers
one.
is now spelled
Pretty
Folgers
sure that used to have
without
a
a
D.
D. People remember Castro died in 2011. He actually died in 2016.
No, yeah, he just died last year.
Mickey Mouse no longer has suspenders.
Anybody want to chime in on that one? I think we missed this one whenever we were flying through this video. Right, Nick? Dude, this shit's killing me, man. In a few minutes, I'm going to get into my theories about what I think may be going on. I've seen too much anecdotal evidence, proof. I've seen too much of it. You got the probably the best proof right now is the Panic at the Disco one. The song "I Write Sins, Not Tragedies." The words in the chorus got changed from A to the, and one like cover artist. This cover artist contacted the kid who wrote the song, the singer for Panic at the Disco, and she was like, explain to me this, and she linked to her being like, why does it say now the, and it used to say A. And he is the first confirm that we've got of the original artist saying he does not know why the words got changed. I shared the image of it a little bit ago, but he doesn't know why the words got changed. And he even said it's some Berenstein shit going on. So yeah,
O'Reilly's Auto Parts is now O'Reilly Auto Parts.
it was O'Reilly's.
The classic Queen song "We Are the Champions" no longer ends after "Of the World." The "of the world" part is gone.
Okay, my musician and Queen friends, you know this. The way that "We Are the Champions" ends with him going, "We are the world," and it goes on, and that's it. It fades out. Well, that is not how it is anymore. This is like another song that's been like significantly changed. And here's the thing: me and Lisa, while we were watching this, actually went and looked. We pulled up the lyrics, and the lyrics still end with "of the world." So here's the. The fuck? That is like, you know how Carmen, when he hears the first couple of bars, like, come sailing, and he's got to hear the whole thing? That's kind of how that feels, not hearing it in the right way. And this is the official version on the official Queen page. So it doesn't have it. We're going to play it all the way to the end. I'm going to make it autoplay to the next one. Does not say of the world at the end anymore. That's pretty damning. And what's really big about that is a monster song. Even if you're not a Queen fan, you've been to a game or watched a game where they played that song, you know that song, and it ends with "of the world," and not anymore.
In Star Trek, the famous quote "Beam me up, Scotty" was never said.
I knew that. I was a Trekkie when I was a kid. They never actually said that combination of words.
Gordon's is now Gortons.
Sure.
Mike and Ike's is now Mike and Ike's.
Mike and Ike's. It was Mike and Ike's, right?
Dr. Doolittle is now.
Look at that! Alright, I'm Googling this one. There was two O's in that. Look, it's even spaced. It's even spaced on there for another O. Can you guys see that? Or am I behind the thing? It's even spaced right here for another O to be in that. That's so messed up. That's so messed up. And again, this is one of those inconsequential prepositions. Really, this is an inconsequential thing. But the point in showing out all of these is that if little things like this are getting changed, what big thing, like what else is getting changed that a million people don't remember some way to where it easily gets
Now
swept up
spelled with
under
a
the
single
rug.
O.
It's messed up.
Depends is now Depend. Elliot's Pizza is now Elios Pizza.
I wouldn't know about that one.
Gandhi's
Now, I do have a problem with this one, the way they're spelling it now. They're spelling it now like Gandhi. It's Gandhi. G-H. Gah. Why would they change
name
stuff
is
like
now
that? It's like
spelled
the
with an
Sally
H
Fields thing.
at
Just,
the end instead of the
it's
beginning.
weird.
Vlasic only has one S now. Eddie's
But wasn't Vlasic supposed to be like classic?
ice cream only has
Look at that. Look how weird that is. We looked this one up too. That just doesn't look right. Look. Look at the spacing on it. Look at all that. It's just wrong. Like, you can see that this banner was designed to have another letter in it. And you know, I even got to the point tonight, I was like, is 4chan doing this? Is this anonymous? Is this weaponized autism just trying to fuck with everybody? Are they creating all these different sites to get all these different Google images up to the top? I mean, it's almost got to be something like that. But no, look, Eddie's. It's 1D. It's got to be the only person on the planet that spells Eddie with 1D. But there it is, looking all crazy. Kind of doing some ice cream. All right,
1D.
what's next?
Pensoil now has two N's.
It's always had two ends. NASCAR. It's always had two ends.
Smokey the Bear is now just Smokey Bear.
I couldn't find any citations on this one. Smokey the Bear doesn't actually exist, so it's kind of difficult to find anything. Did I spell Mandela wrong? Probably. I couldn't find anything
Pikachu's
concrete on
tail
that.
no longer
This is a good one. Now, the reason that this is so intense is that the kids that came right after me, they were huge Pokemon fans, so they were drawing Pikachu all the time. So you have hundreds of thousands of people around the world that remember drawing Pikachu and remember drawing the black on it. I went through the fan art stuff, and I only found just a couple that were like that, where the tail's black, but that's how I remember it. But I wasn't a huge Pokemon fan. The most Pokemon I found out about was last year walking around SIU. But yeah, look, like through here, he's got the black on his. That's really something else. I promise I found some that had black on it. God damn it. Science, damn it. Yeah, I'm not finding them now, but there's a lot of people out there that said that when they were drawing Pikachu, he always had that black
has
on
black
his tail.
in it.
I can't say.
Lazy
definitively one
Boy
way
is
or the
now
other. He said that he vetted all of these for potential like company rebrandings and stuff like that, but I think it was always like that. Lazy Boy.
Last Boy. Kit Kat no longer has a dash.
The dash looks out of place, anyways.
Inspector
Look
Gadget
at that. Okay,
no longer has a
Listen.
mustache past the pilot episode.
do you guys remember him with a mustache at all? Like, ever? I don't remember it, but I wasn't like a gadget junkie or gadgeteer, whatever they were called.
Curious George no longer has.
I know that's not right. I can remember images in my head of Curious George hanging by his tail from a branch, picking up the hat of the man with the yellow hat. I can't remember what his name is. Yeah, it said pilot episode. Like I said, I didn't see them all. But I remember Curious George using his tail. Why would they have made a monkey without a tail? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I've never seen, but like Franklin said, it must have been the
Has a
pilot.
tail. People remember.
Okay, who remembers the Sinbad genie movie? Lisa remembered it. Mom remembered it. People remember not Kazam. Kazam was the Shaq movie where he was a genie. This is Sinbad. Now, this went a little bit deeper because, this was like the first Mandela effect that people really noticed. There was documented evidence of the actual Mandela effect. Yeah, I'd buy that. Um, so, like, okay, here's what happened. The people started to remember Sinbad playing a genie at some point, and people were remembering the specific movie, remembering scenes from it, remember him dancing around and stuff, and everybody, history, um, Sinbad himself, they all kept saying no, there was no genie movie. So check us out. Like just recently, like in December, some kid found a Polaroid of Sinbad dressed as a genie. Okay, so his kid sends it to Sinbad, and Sinbad gets it, and he's looking at it, and he's like, I don't know what is this, And he spent a couple of days, and he finally came back, and he says, I remember what this is. Apparently, back in the day, on a Saturday afternoon, Sinbad hosted a TV show for kids. It was a bunch of the Sinbad the Sailor movies, and he was hosting it in character as a sailor, but he had like the turban thing on, and he looked like a genie. And he said, well, that must be the source of where everybody's movie's from. And no, it turns out the thing is that Sinbad the Sailor block that was running was only taking place in like one market in like Philadelphia one time on a Saturday afternoon. It wasn't even syndicated, it was just in that one place. So that doesn't make sense to why we would all remember a Sinbad Genie movie. Up till now, other than the exception of a couple little things, we keep saying it's been inconsequential prepositions, but now an entire piece of media has disappeared. So, and I see you're saying Shaq, but the Shaq Kazam was like a different style movie. Kazam was more of just like a straight up genie, but the Sinbad genie movie, it felt like he was like more funny and more like, dude, I'm a genie. What do you want? So, I kind of remember it. I kind of remember seeing it. Back in the day, we had a Dave's Movies and More in Granite City, and I think I remember seeing it on one of the shelves, but I don't know. They say it doesn't exist. College Humor did do a video this April Fool's about it that was kind of funny. That's worth looking up.
Sinbad in the genie movie in the
But
90s,
that's the
no such
legacy
movie.
Mandela.
The Star Wars line, Luke, I am.
What you got? The fucking Luke, I'm your father. I watched the scene a bunch of times today, and the line goes like this. It's Darth Vader asks Luke, he says, what did you know about your father? And he said, I knew enough. I knew you killed him. And Darth Vader's response to that is, no, Luke, I'm your father. And the thing is he doesn't emphasize it. He doesn't emphasize the am. It would if that was happening in conversation and I was going to use those words, it would be no, I am your father. And it doesn't really feel like James Earl Jones was doing that. So in addition to that, he did an interview with Larry King and a couple other people like a handful of years ago, and in it, he's like, I'm looking at the script. I'm looking at the script for Star Wars, and he's like, I read the line, Luke, I am your father, and what crossed my mind, no, he's lying. He's not Luke's father. Who are you gonna trust? You gonna trust the guy that recorded it and said it and has retold that story and has remembers it and I mean he's the guy saying he said, Luke, I am your father. Why would we remember it any differently? I challenge anybody to find an instance prior to like 2006 where somebody's like, it wasn't Luke, I'm your father. It's no, I'm your father. Because, like, I'm saying that shit, I don't think it's out there. All the videos that are about you misremembered this quote started happening around 2009, kind of coinciding with when we started noticing these Mandela effects. So this is the biggest one. There was a video on YouTube of a guy, and he's like, I was talking to some guys at work today, and they're saying that, Vader says, no, I'm your father, and that's bullshit. I've seen this movie 100 times. Dude pulls out the video, puts it in his cassette player, fast forwards it or whatever to the part of the movie. When Vader says, no, I am your father, he turns fucking white. He turns white. Because he refuses to believe it. He just, I mean, it's crazy.
I am your
It's like
father is now
quote,
no,
it's
I am
like
your
the quote
father.
from Alice in Wonderland.
People remember Bill 9 dying in 2012. He's still alive.
He could have kept his legacy alive.
People remember the Monopoly Man having a monocle. Haley's comment is now spelled with two.
Are you talking about my vape, Franklin? It's a Graham Slam. It's our graham cracker clone of Grizzly Graham.
L's.
We call it crack.
People remember a landmass right next.
Alright, this is something I wanted to check out. I'm going to use my USGS map because I think it's got the best. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that. Look how far over Australia is now. You know, I've been looking at this coastline. I've been looking at Antarctica for a while and all this stuff. This is the USGS map for like earthquakes and stuff. Australia seems awful small and awful pushed over. They're saying that changed. I really need a globe. There's no 2D image I can throw up here that will really accurately represent a 3D globe, but that's something I'm gonna have to look into. See, they're talking about the landmass. They think there should be a landmass out here, which is funny because we just discovered a continent right here. But they think that there should be a landmass right there, and it's not there. I don't remember that. If one of you guys remember a landmass out there, you can chime in with me. But like, I don't remember.
To Australia
like
on the west, no such mass now. People remember
that don't look right. Yeah, it had a dash.
SpaghettiOs with a dash and an apostrophe at the end. People remember the tank man refusing to get out of the way and was run over.
He climbed over it.
However, that's not the case. He actually just got on top of the tank.
That was Tenement Square, China.
Vicks Vapor Rub no longer has an apostrophe S. Herbal Essence is now Herbal Essence with an S at the end.
Do I look like I use that?
Coke Zero is now Coca-Cola.
100%. 100% used to be Coke Zero. 100% used to be Coke Zero. And he said, again, I'm going to say this again, he said that he vetted that stuff. He said he vetted any time a company may have done any restructuring or rebranding. So that would mean if that's true, then there should be no evidence of lost my shit. There should be no evidence that it was ever done the other way, and I'm not sure that's the case. Oh man, we were almost at the end. All right, Coke Zero. Let's look. Residual evidence is what we're looking for. It's gone. There it is. But that's just the bottle cap. Yeah, I drank that stuff for a while. It seems like it was like that. Yeah. See? Mandela effect Coke Zero. The universe is fucking falling apart.
Coke Zero is now Coca-Cola Zero. Marilyn Monroe's beauty mark has changed location.
Sure.
In Phil Collins' song In the Air Tonight, the lyric has changed from Hold On to Oh Lord. Moses is now depicted with...
Okay, this one give me cold chills. Okay, if this is really happening, one of the possible scenarios for it happening is we have a time traveler now, and somebody is going back and fucking shit up. Like, that is a possibility if this is really happening. And this was big because of the Mandela effects to date. I've only seen 2 religious references to it. Okay, alright, hold on. I'll look. Yeah. Just that one, he had the can covered up. Oh, yeah, that popped up. Inconclusive. But yeah, okay. I think it was just straight up Coke Zero. All right, but back onto this one. Okay, so there's been 2 Mandela effects related to religion. There's this one where you got Moses growing horns out now, and get this. I Google searched this one because I was like, wait, Moses has got horns on it? What the fuck? And if you Google it, the questions about why Moses have horns started in like 2008. These statues are like super old. And the questions started in like 2008, 2009, why they have horns. I haven't looked into it. I'm not an ideology major or anything like that. I don't know a whole lot, but I don't know why he's got horns coming out. I mean, there may be a reason behind that, but this is the only example, this one and the other religious one on that I think comes up in a minute, that shows that somebody is actively attacking. This is not an inconsequential preposition. This is somebody demonizing a religious figure. And that mean that this is one of the few cases where the Mandela effect actually looks malicious. Like this one and the other religious one I
with
think in this
horns.
video.
Google Moses depicted in art to see more examples.
Yeah, we did all of them.
OxyClean is now spelled with an I instead of a Y.
No. No. It was always OxyClean. Let's look for some residual evidence. Watch this. Yeah. Just people messing with it. Again, inconsequential, but it's a change.
Sex in the City is now sex.
Lisa loved that show. It was one of the first things I talked to her about tonight when I came home. And I said, hey, what was the name of that show that you used to watch? It was like a bunch of girls in the city, and then there was a couple movies about it. She's like, Sex City something? She's like, Sex in the City? Like, no, Sex and the City. And she's like, no, it's Sex in the City. Used to be. Used to be. Now it's Sex and the City. And it just looks structured funny. You know, you got these two here where, I mean, this is, I don't know what this is. We've discussed that, like, if a human being had to transfer that information, that it got transferred as what the mass, ask her what it's called, Nick. It's what the mass majority of us remember, and that's what gets transferred over. That's why TV guides say Berenstein Bears. The TV guides would have said Sex in the City. Yeah, but it would have changed. That's the thing, Nick, is like they changed that media. So that media gets changed. The only thing that will remain for us observers to see is the art that gets created as a result of that. That's all we're going to see.
Sex and the City. In the Bible, the animal that
this is the other religious one. I'm not religious, and my mom's probably not watching. She's not up, but there's a passage that says, the lion will lay with the lamb. And there's a really iconic image of that that was in like a lot of Bibles and stuff. This one. Really, really, really similar to that, okay? That's what I'm thinking, Nick. I'm hoping this is weaponized autism, dude. I really am. Like, it's gotten me scared and freaked out enough that I'm hoping it's weaponized autism. But this is the image, and the passage was based on a lion will lay with the lamb. Well, now that line is wolf. The wolf will lay with the lamb, and that's the other
will lay with
religious
a
change. But this one is again almost, I hate to keep saying it, but an inconsequential preposition. Doesn't really change the meaning, but then the other one, fuck me, they put horns on that dude. They put horns on that dude. You can't do that.
the lamb is no longer the lion, but the wolf.
One that was kind of a big being affected.
Chick-fil-A is now spelled with a CK.
Lisa said no.
Jiffy peanut butter is now Jif.
I do not remember it ever being called Jiffy, but Lisa does. Weaponized screeching. It's weaponized autism, man. Fuck. Did you follow any of that? The He Will Not Divide Us stuff?
Febreze no longer has a double E. Before, double bubble was spelled with a single B in double.
Lisa said yes. I don't remember that.
In the movie Field of Dreams, the famous quote, "If you build it, they will come," is now, "If you build it, he will come."
We talked about that on my page earlier, man, but it's still there's so much media with if you build it. Like, okay, like just right now, I just auto typed it in, and all I got as far as is if you build it, and it auto populated with they. And look at all these. We all remembered this wrong. Every one of these says they. Every single one of these says they. Let's see what this says. Okay, so what now? They, even when I put in he, these continue to say they. I, I mean, we went for me. It's 4 minutes in or something.
If you build it, he will come.
Where? I mean, no, not like that, but like, where'd that come from? Yeah, it was not like that.
Hey, Annie!
And if you remember it like that, then this has been your universe the whole time. So you're in your right reality because that is not what he said.
The quote from
We all remembered this wrong too. Here's the thing, like, okay, so the deal about this one is, Forrest Gump says life is like a box of chocolate, and what he says is, Mama always said life is like a box of chocolate. That's what he said because anytime he was quoting Mama, he didn't quote her past tense. He quoted what she said. He's like Sheldon. He quoted what she said. He didn't add, as far as I can remember, he never added anything past tense the way he said it. So what he would have said was, Mama always said, life is like a box of chocolates. Was doesn't sound right. Was is past tense. Mama wouldn't have said, Forrest, life is like a box of chocolates. Life was like a box of chocolates. She wouldn't have said that. So this one's totally out there. I mean, everything remembers it the other way. This is probably one of the bigger Mandela effects that's out there. But yeah, I mean, I looked it up. He clearly says in the video now, Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. He never used her quotes in past tense.
the movie Forrest Gump, "Life is like a box of chocolates," is now, "Life was like a box of chocolates." The Barbie song lyrics used to be, "I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world," is now, "I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world."
Nick. No, it was I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. It's fantastic. Wrapped in plastic. That's the way it was. It wasn't the Barbie world. So, inconsequential propositions.
Cliff Notes is now Cliff's Notes.
I never used them. Anybody?
Thanksgiving is no longer on the third Thursday of November. It is now on the fourth Thursday.
Sure.
People remember Harry Houdini's name as Henry Houdini. Daylight savings time no longer has an
Totally. It was daylight savings time.
S. The Xbox logo now has a little tail in the back of the letter B.
PC Master Race, I'm not sure.
Looney Tunes is now spelled Looney Tunes.
That was always Tunes. I remember that as a kid. The premise was that there was musicals in the show, and tunes.
The Addams Family is now spelled with a double D.
It's showing me the results for 2Ds. No, I did not mean. Yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's probably always been like that. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
The famous quote from the movie Jaws, "We are gonna need a bigger boat," is now "You are gonna need a bigger boat."
How about that one? It was always, we're going to need a bigger boat. They were a team at that point. The three of them were already a team, correct? Nick, you would be my fucking go-to on that one. Did he say, we're going to need a bigger boat, or you're going to need a bigger boat? It was were, right? Let's see if I can find it.
You heard him. Slow ahead. Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
We do it for 34.
Bigger boat. You're gonna need a bigger boat. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Fuck, his lips aren't even moving when he says it.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. You're gonna need a bigger. You're gonna need a big.
Look.
You're gonna need a big. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Doc.
The Chevron logo now has the red on the bottom instead of the top.
Sure.
Haynes no longer has an I in it.
That's fucked up. It was Haines. 100%. 100%. Yeah, that's fucked up, man.
Pixie Sticks is now spelled with a Y. And Ready Whip no longer has an...
Okay, this one like pissed Lisa off. Because it doesn't even make sense. Like, not even from a marketing standpoint would whip be a good idea. I mean, people were calling them whippets and shit like that, but like, there was an H in that shit, man. That's messed up.
An H in the whip.
Okay,
Hello,
so that's
everyone.
it. That's what
This
he's
is...
got for it. I watched a couple more videos on this stuff, and obviously me and Lisa had a nice long discussion about it tonight. It was our whole evening. It was supposed to be date night. Did not work out. We discussed and worried about the path that our universe is on. So, all right, so here's what's up. There's a couple of possibilities. I've discussed the simulation theory before, and that it's a good possibility we're in a simulation, and here's why. Elon Musk put out the three possibilities. One, human beings will never create the ability to be able to create simulations that would be lifelike and convincing for those inside of them. That's one possibility. We'll never create it. Two, will have the ability to create it, but we will lose interest and we will not create it. We'll be able to, but we just won't. The third possibility is there's only a 1 in a billion chance we're not in a simulation. There's a 1 in a billion chance that we are in the real reality and we'll be able to create the first simulation, because we're going to go there. We already do a lot of that with video games now, where we create simulations and stuff. And the reason this is important, I'll get to. That was Elon Musk's perspective on it. And by doing that, he put into the common vernacular that we could potentially be in a simulation. I'll tell you why that's important. There's a phenomenon in quantum mechanics called quantum entanglement. And that is where you can take two particles and tangle them together. And we're going to use the analogy that they could be either ketchup or mustard, okay? They could be one or the other, either yellow or red. We entangle them and we separate them. We can separate them as far as the universe, okay? And until we look at them, they won't be in either state, okay? But say I've got this one here and I send this one to the other side of the universe and I haven't looked at it yet, okay? He calls me, tells me he's ready to go. So I'm going to take a look at it and we're going to measure like how long it takes for it to flip. Well, here's what's going to happen. When I look at it, because I'm an observer, I'll tell you what that is. When I look at it, it's going to change to either ketchup or mustard. that very instant, and I mean beyond the speed of light, to the point that Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, that other particle is going to flip to the other opposite. If this one became ketchup, that one became mustard, or vice versa. And it's instant, regardless of distance. Okay, what's required for that to happen is an observer. Okay, an observer is classified basically like this: an observer has to be conscious, okay, and an observer has to be self aware. That's very important. We as human beings, we can contemplate our own existence. Therefore, we are self-aware. Your dog is not. Your dog could not trigger a quantum entanglement to react, okay? So it requires an observer. So right there, we know the basic building blocks of our universe are built around observers. Okay, so we've made it to the second level. We're conscious and we're aware, we're self-aware, so we can contemplate things. So we become observers. We can trigger quantum entanglement. What happens in the universe that treats self-awareness as such a high priority? I mean, you're talking about being an observer allows you to fundamentally change the fabric of reality in a sense through quantum entanglement. What happens when that self-aware conscious entity becomes self-aware that it could potentially be inside a simulation? What is going to happen to that simulation? Well, I'll give you an example. If you created a video game where you tried to give true AI, you tried to give AI true intelligence to the point you tried to make the damn thing self-aware, your computer's going to be able to handle it up until the point that it becomes conscious or self-aware. Because once that happens, the computational data needed is going to exceed whatever you have. It's just going to fucking smoke it. The consciousness takes a lot of computational data. So it's going to crash. That's what's going to happen in your little simulation. Well, as of about 5 or 7 years ago, Elon Musk brought into the popular vernacular the possibility that we were in a simulation. How many of us, if we are in a simulation, have to convince ourselves that we are in a simulation before suddenly you have programs inside a program that have become self aware and are crashing the system? Like, that's kind of one of my theories on it, man, that this may actually be what is happening is that the simulation we're running and is crashing. This simulation may have only been running for a couple minutes, but it gets even deeper than that. Check this out. Our universe has black holes in them. There's a current theory going around, and it's one I kind of subscribe to, that all universes get created inside black holes. So you have a black hole, sucks in matter, creates a singularity, crushes it to a finer and finer extent to where it exceeds what this universe can compact material in. You're going well beyond neutron stars to the point light can't escape anymore. So you continue to pack it in until it hits the point that it explodes on the inside. And that's our Big Bang. And, we talk about the fact that the universe is expanding, but what if it's not expanding outwards? It's actually expanding smaller, meaning we're taking up the same amount of physical space within a singularity in the universe above us, but it's expanding inside, creating more and more life. And now you've got to the point that the universe down, 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 down through these black holes. Every universe has got black holes, so there's more universes than every universes. You get like 17,000 down till you get to us, and suddenly one of us bastards becomes self-aware of the fact that we're in a simulation. The whole thing is going to go fucking belly up, and I think that's what the Mandela effect may be doing. And to this point, like I've been saying, it may only be the inconsequential things that are happening today, but it's going to probably get more and more severe. And definitely, if you look at the trends on YouTube, I was looking at, timeline of dates posted and stuff like that. These are getting more and more and more. And as more people are looking, it's almost like we're becoming more self-aware of the problem, which is exacerbating the issue. And if we're in a simulation, we have exceeded what this hardware is capable of doing, unfortunately. My theory would be is if I was trying to create a simulation as like a tech demo, I sure as fuck wouldn't create a universe that had black holes in it that could create other universes. It's almost like when you're playing on using a program on Windows and you click on OK on something, and suddenly there's this huge cascade of OK prompts and cancel this and all that, and it just goes all crazy. You guys remember those days? Well, that may be what is happening to our fucking universe. And this is just theory. I'm not crazy, but it could be happening that our universes are on a runaway. This simulation may have only been running for a couple goddamn seconds at this point, but it's on a complete meltdown runaway. And if that's the case, I'm very upset that whoever's trying to take care of us is doing such a shitty fucking job, man. Why did you create a universe that would allow for black holes? That's kind of a crappy thing to do. So that's one of the theories, that the whole program that we're running on has just exceeded its capabilities. There was a study done just a couple years ago where scientists think they've actually figured out how much memory there is in the universe. They took a pi, they kept calculating pi out as far as they could. They had this whole computer dedicated to doing nothing but continuing to calculate pi over and over and over to see how far they could go, and they finally got to the end where the computer wouldn't calculate anymore. They exceeded the maximum bit limit of the universe, implying that we're on some sort of code. So if that's the case, it sounds like our program's starting to crash. And if that's the case, I mean, I hope they're saving us so we can pick up back where we left off. The next theory that's possible is that for the first time in this timeline that we're in, we have a time traveler. We have somebody going back and fucking with stuff, okay? And there's all these grandfather paradoxes about, what if you go back and kill your grandfather? Um, and, what would happen in the current timeline? What would happen to all the things that and stuff? And I think we're finding out the answer if that's what's going on here, because the answer is you can go back and change the things, but the memories that we have, the memories aren't tangible. They don't exist. Um, I can't cut your head open and pull a memory out. It's chemical connections, and honestly, you don't even remember your memories. Every time you remember a memory, you're really just remembering the last time you remembered it. That's why you can actually eviscerate a memory if you want to. If you got a bad memory of something and that happened, like some dumb shit you did, you can actually eviscerate that memory. What you do is you just think about what the memory is, because every time you remember a memory, you're just remembering the last time you remembered it, and you can actually start to fuzzy and distort it. When you think of a memory of something, you actually get like a picture in your head. Take that picture and start pulling it from the corners. Try it with something, every time you think about it, makes you cringe. Like, why the fuck did I do that? Take that image of whatever it is and begin to stretch it in your mind. And over time, what'll happen is every time you try to remember it, that's what you'll see. You'll see that stretched, distorted image, because that's what you've created in your mind. Well, see, we can go back and change a movie. We can re-edit something, take out "Hello, Clarice." Hey, can you give me that again? But this time say you're going to need a bigger boat. You can do all that shit, but even doing it back then didn't change the conscious observer's memory of what had happened. And so it still exists in that same realm in your brain, because your brain's its own universe and you're storing your own memories independently regardless of what happens. So it basically answers the grandfather paradox. If you went back and killed your grandfather, if this Mandela effect is a result of a time traveler, ultimately everyone would remember everything the way it was, except people would be missing, maybe even yourself. I mean, we haven't seen anything that extreme, but like Australia looks like moved. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. One of the things they didn't even list, and this is my personal, like, what the fuck? I remember when I was a kid being super interested in the structure of our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. I was really interested in where we were. Why? Because I'm in the northern hemisphere. I can't see the center of the galaxy and all these things. So I started doing a bunch of research as a kid. I remember it very vividly. Um, I went and found a book that actually showed the location of our solar system relative to everything in the universe. And I remember where we were. We were on the outer edge, almost 7/8 of the way through the arm, on the Sagittarius arm. It was the Sagittarius arm that came off. There was just a couple big ones that we had these little bitty spurs on the inside. And more importantly, our galaxy was shaped like a hurricane. That's probably what a lot of you guys remember. A hurricane with a bright spot in the middle, right? Not anymore. Not only are we not on the edge of our galaxy, we're literally halfway between the middle and the outside on the Orion spur. The place that we thought we were, that I thought we were, is literally on the other side of the galaxy. A galaxy, by the way, that recently changed. We are no longer in a straight up spiral hurricane style galaxy. It turns out now we are in what's called a bar spiral galaxy. Meaning, in the center of our universe, in our center of our galaxy, it's actually a bar that comes out and the tails whip off from the ends. The whole universe is different. I looked because this irritated me to the fucking core. So I went looking to find when we decided that our universe was different and we're on the other side of it from where we thought we were. There's nothing out there. It just changed, and that's just like the way it is. I was watching a video earlier where a woman who collected meteorites and space debris for years back in the day, she was reading all this stuff and she read up on our current location, and her video was titled Check Your Rocks. And the reason she was saying that is because if we were in a different place than where we used to be, then the composition of our asteroids will be different because we're further in on the galaxy. The composition, something should have changed on those. And she looked at her rocks, and sure as shit, she's got some changes on her asteroids. Her meteorites have changed because of the position of the fucking Earth. I mean, that's the oldest one that we would see. You know, we talked about Mona Lisa, and I didn't show you the Thinker. I'll show you that one. Uh, you guys might be a little surprised by this. Yeah, the Thinker. That's I always called it the Thinking Man. Lisa said that she always called it the Thinker. Um, but check him out now. Let me find a good picture of it. Look at his hands. I mean, his hand's not closed. It's I mean, the way that I always remembered it was he had his hand closed in a fist, because I remember the forearm muscles and it was like this. But look, his hand's clearly open. And and if you look at some of the Mandela pictures, you got people that posed in front of it and posed wrong. Here it is. Okay, look. This woman is literally standing in front of the statue. She could just turn and see how it's done. But the style of the way that the thinker in her mind is, that it was so powerful, she's like, hey, I'm gonna get down and do it. And look, we're gonna get a picture, and she just went down and did it. And I mean, you can see that right behind her. That's not the way that statue is. That changed in her vernacular. That the memory of the thinker is still in her, despite the fact that the actual statue itself has changed. And there's tons of these pictures. I mean, there's all kinds of people that are posing, like you see that one, that are posing like it, but the actual statue changed. And so those two, with the exception of the evolutionary bone thing in the eyeball and our place in the galaxy, man, that messes me up, man. That really messes me up. These are the oldest things that got messed with: Mona Lisa and the Thinker. I think the Thinker was like 15, 16. Let me look. That's what I seem to think was 15, 16. No, this one's saying 1880. I don't know why I was thinking that late. So 1880 is the earliest thing we've seen being messed with. So if it is a time traveler, that's the furthest they've gone back. If it is the simulation failure, then it's starting at this end, because we have more recent things that have been messed with, like the Panic at the Disco song, Queen, a couple of these movies like Jaws from the 80s. Those have been messed with more recently, and I guess the newest ones would be Panic, and I guess the Forrest Gump. So it's like they're closer to us, the newer ones. And here's my concern about teaching the controversy: if the observer issue is what it is, the fact that an observer in this universe figured out that it could potentially be in a simulation, the more people that figure out they might be in a simulation, the harder it's going to get on this program. So it should continuously get worse. I mean, it's really kind of concerning. All these have been mostly pop culture references and just shenanigans like that, but there's like hardcore evidence for changes, like the Panic at the Disco guys. He literally said, I don't know how my song got changed. That's literally not what I wrote. There's other authors that need to be reached for sure, but like the Brothers Grimm, we've got multiple copies of Snow White told in different ways, and it always says mirror mirror. It doesn't say magic mirror. We all know Field of Dreams to be, if you build it, they will come. And a couple of you guys said that it was he will come, and there's ideas for that too. It's possible that you guys are accepting the new reality quicker than the rest of us are. It's also possible that you got exposed to it post Mandela-ing, and I'm going to trademark that Mandela-ing. And so you've had more time with it in its new format. The biggest one, I mean, as far as I'm gonna ruin everybody's childhood with this thing.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you? Beautiful day in this neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
That's just so wrong. That's just so fucking wrong. So that things are being messed with. So far, it's inconsequential. The only things we're noticing being messed with are the things that everybody can legitimately remember. Save the link to this video, because the next time your old lady's like, that's not what I told you, you can show her and be like, I guess we got Mandela, honey. But something really creepy is going on. I've exerted so much energy earlier into the night that I really don't have the level of enthusiasm for this particular topic that we have, because we're literally talking about the fabric of our universe and a deeper understanding of what is actually going on, because it cannot just be as easy as we all fucking remembered this shit. It just cannot be that way. There's too much anecdotal evidence for different topics that prove it wasn't that way. Yeah, that's the thing, is these things are being changed in these movies that change the meaning of what happens in them. Okay, another example. Okay, there was a James Bond movie, the one that had Jaws in it. Okay, at the end of, let me figure out the movie first. It was one of the more ones. Was it The Spy Who Loved Me? Moonraker. Okay, it was Moonraker. Okay, check it out. At the end of Moonraker, Jaws wrecks whatever stupid, like, canopy thing that they had going on. And, he wrecks into, like, a concession stand or whatever it is. And what ends up happening afterwards is he gets out and he runs into this girl right here, okay? And they end up immediately falling in love, like immediately making a connection. And so what ends up happening is they end up leaving together and have this connection. But it doesn't make any sense, because in this, you're going to see she doesn't have any braces. And in the original, she had braces, which gave them that connection. There was even a commercial that was done later by MasterCard where the actor came in and he had the MasterCard Tiny, and he hands it to the girl, and she's all gaga and stuff, and you don't realize why until later, because after he walks away, she smiles and she's got metal braces. So this is an example of, you can change the original media, but you don't change the art that gets created as a result of that. So I don't think I saw this one, but we'll take a look at it and see if this guy covers it. Cute though, right?
Alright, let me just stop you there for a second. Here's a question to you, Bond fans. Did you expect or remember Jaws' nerdy little girlfriend Dolly having braces? If your answer is yes, then you may have experienced what is apparently called the Mandela effect, a theory concerning multiple alternate realities. And if you're anything like me, you're probably going, what the hell is this nonsense? Followed by some hysterics. Multiple realities? Shared memories? What is this all about? Alright, you know what, let me just start this thing from the beginning. Beware though, some of this stuff might creep you out a little bit. And I sure as hell ain't gonna make a habit of these types of videos. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago I received a random comment on recapping episode 11, my Moonraker review. The comment was quite simple. Do any of you remember Dolly having braces? I thought it was quite funny, as I do always kind of expect her to have braces, and then I'm like, oh right, I guess she doesn't have them. I personally can't remember for sure if I have memories of her ever having them, but I do remember that cleavage clear as day though. So I responded to the guy and he gave me this comment back. Well, I do. She had braces. Weirdest thing though, they aren't there anymore. So strange. She had gaudy, ugly silver braces that gleamed in the sun like Jaws' teeth. It was their connecting point. Now the scene makes no sense. She had braces. Now, again, if you're anything like me, your first thought is probably, so it must have been digitally altered then. I've been watching the Bond Blu-rays for a few years now, and they could have easily been changed. Well, turns out YouTube has quite a few videos of people remembering these braces and turning in the earliest Moonraker VCR copy to check it out, and of course find out she doesn't have braces in that one either. Fans apparently were so baffled by this that they managed to contact Blanche Ravaillac, the actress that played Dolly, and she confirmed that she never wore braces and that they were never involved during the making of this film. Well, fair enough, case closed. Well, apparently not quite. This guy was so convinced of his vivid memory of her having braces, he told me this phenomenon was called the Mandela effect, and that I should Google this stuff and look it up, and unfortunately, I did. So first off though, Mandela effect, as in Nelson Mandela? Well, yeah, apparently the phenomenon is a theory behind large groups of people all sharing the same vivid memory that never existed. Looking into this stuff, and it turns out thousands of people remember this chick having braces. Discussions everywhere of people having vivid memories of this. Some even remember jokes that were made about it. Things got a bit more serious when I saw what kind of proof these people were backing this up with. Apparently they have pointed out that there were some discussions between people on very old forums from back in 2001 where the people were actively discussing Dolly's braces, suggesting this conversation took place before this supposed shift. They also found old websites that have character...
This is what got me earlier. When we were looking into this, it says it's her description, glasses and braces. It's in the description. And also, the scene doesn't make any damn sense without
descriptions of Dolly having braces, while the picture next to it clearly doesn't show that anymore. Some have even pointed out
that should be the face if this turns out to be malicious. If the Mandela effect turns out to be malicious, this is the face we're fucking giving it.
Some have even pointed out the countless parodies done on this scene. And the most notable one for me was the one where Richard Kiel is starring as Jaws, and at the end of the commercial it turns out a chick is wearing braces. Was this meant to parody the scene in Moonraker, or was this just a funny commercial? Now more fans were so passionate about all this, they started a full-on investigation on the subject. One guy has done lots of examining on Dolly's teeth in all kinds of instances in the film. Apparently when she drinks the champagne glass by the end of the film, for instance, they claim you can slightly make out the braces, as if reality truly got distorted. Now, what do I think personally? Well, I like to go for a more rational explanation to all this. Like this explanation from a topic on IMDb. When Jaws meets Dolly, there is something cute and clever about this scene. It's that huge Jaws has found his love in such a tiny girl. But in the back of everyone's mind, or maybe talked about later with friends, everybody agrees that the scene would have been perfect and more cute and clever had Dolly worn braces. Then years later, when you watch the movie again, the scene is approaching where Dolly is walking up to Jaws and you think, oh yeah, I remember this, there is something cute and clever about this scene. Yeah, watch, she's gonna have braces. And then it turns out she doesn't have them. It's just a false memory, folks. Whatever the case is, I personally don't have super strong memories of her ever having braces, but it's definitely remarkable how much people do seem to have this memory, and it's certainly interesting to see how passionate people get about this whole Mandela effect. I mean, you can now even buy your Dolly had braces t-shirts. So I thought this was worth a little video. So what are your thoughts on the whole matter? Leave your thoughts in a comment and get some discussion going.
Yep, that pretty much covers it. I mean, I never saw it. I wasn't a big fan of the James Bond movies, so I don't remember it either way, but it seems weird that we would parody that, you know, through that MasterCard commercial and like on The Simpsons and stuff if it never happened. This is the case with a lot of these. Like, seriously, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to wake up tomorrow and people be like, why so motivated? Or something like that, you know, like, why so intense? You know, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. God damn. So
going, and be sure to subscribe and visit the channel for a lot more and less.
So I pretty much covered all the biggest ones. I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing anything on this. It's pretty disturbing, but definitely keep looking up onto it. Like I said, the more that people are looking into these, the more things we're finding. And that's why we're getting a lot of these false positives because people are, checking everything. But I am going to keep an eye on it and see if this doesn't start picking up with severity or something. But it's definitely weird and bizarre. So, all right. Well, thanks for watching this with me, guys. I just, after Lisa went to bed, I still had more that I wanted to say and look into. So, thanks for joining me on that little journey. So, I'm going to end it here. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.